Before moving on to the story, don't forget to subscribe and like. Have a nice listening time. It was a chilly autumn night, and I was driving home after a late shift at work. The roads were deserted, and the only sound was the hum of my car's engine. I had driven this route 100 times before, but something about this night felt different, eerier. As I drove down the winding road through the dense forest, my headlights caught a glimpse of a figure standing on the side of the road. It was a woman, dressed in a long, tattered white gown, her hair matted and hanging over her face. She was just standing there, staring blankly into the darkness. I slowed down as I passed her, trying to make out her features, but the shadows obscured her face. My heart pounded in my chest as I continued driving, trying to convince myself that it was just someone walking home late at night. But deep down, I knew something was off. A few minutes later, I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw her again, this time much closer. It was as if she had somehow moved closer without me noticing. Panic set in, and I pressed down on the gas, trying to put as much distance between us as possible. But no matter how fast I drove, she kept appearing, each time closer than before. It was like she was following me, her blank eyes fixed on my car. I could feel her presence getting stronger, the air inside the car growing colder with each passing second. Suddenly, my car's engine sputtered, and the headlights flickered before going out completely, plunging me into darkness. The only light now came from the pale moon above, casting eerie shadows on the trees around me. I fumbled for my phone, desperate to call for help, but there was no signal. The woman was nowhere to be seen, but I knew she was still there, watching me from the shadows. Then, I heard it, a faint whisper, barely audible, but unmistakable. It was her voice, calling my name, telling me to come to her. My hands trembled as I gripped the steering wheel, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. I tried to start the car again, but the engine refused to turn over. The whispering grew louder, more insistent, and I could feel her presence right outside the car, just inches away. With no other option, I bolted from the car and ran into the woods, the sound of her voice echoing in my ears. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to get away. But the farther I ran, the more lost I became. The trees seemed to close in around me, their branches clawing at my clothes and skin. The whispering followed me, growing louder until it was a deafening roar in my head. And then, I saw her standing in front of me, her face finally visible in the moonlight. Her eyes were hollow, her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. She reached out for me, her icy fingers brushing against my skin. Everything went black. I woke up in the hospital, my body bruised and battered from the fall down a ravine. They told me I was lucky to be alive, that I must have swerved off the road and lost control of the car. But I know the truth. I wasn't alone that night, and whatever that thing was, it wanted me dead. Now, every time I drive down that road, I can't shake the feeling that she's still out there, waiting for me to pass by again. And one day, she might just finish what she started.